Out on Walt Disney World we go, where My News 13 is reporting that Disney World is making changes to the way visitors purchase Disney Genie Plus. It's paid skip-the-line service. Starting June the 8th, the service will no longer be offered as a pre-arrival ticket add-on for the rest of 2022 through 2023. That means guests will not be able to buy the service ahead of their visits. Instead, Genie Plus will only be available for purchase the day of a guest visit in the My Disney Experience app, according to a post on the Disney Parks blog. The change does not affect visitors who have already purchased the service in advance, as they will still be able to use it on their visits. The service will also be subject to availability, according to the blog post, indicating that Disney might limit sales of Genie Plus on certain days. Surprise, surprise. And Katrina, first, share, if you will, what Genie Plus is for those folks who may have never really used it. I kind of gave a brief description there, but what do you think a change like this might mean for someone's vacation plans coming up? Obviously, we went from last year into this year with Genie Plus, and it just kind of turned everybody's experience up on its ear and warped the entire concept of what it means to go to a place like Disney World. Disneyland followed suit. Both parks, both destinations, I should say, now have the Genie Plus service. So things have changed, right? Things have changed, and now as people are just coming on board with those changes, boy, we're going to tweak things again. Now it's only available day of.
Yeah, I mean, Genie Plus, so like for Disneyland, it's $20. Disney World is $15 a day for the Genie Plus service. It's such a confusing thing. So like there's the Genie, and it's like a free app that you can use that you can like look at the ride times and whatnot. And then there's a Genie Plus, which is you pay per day. And then at that point, it's kind of like the FastPass. And then you can get, they say roughly about 2 to 3 rides, right? If you do it right. So you can choose at 7 a.m., you have to make sure it's already purchased on your phone, and then you can get the ride that you want at the park that you reserved. But then there's like Lightning Lane, and Lightning Lane's an additional charge on top of that for select rides, and those can be fluctuated in price based off of popularity. And it's just like you need a college, like a Disney trip college degree on this. Like you need like a whole separate thing for this to go travel, and it's really tough. And now when they already put that in place for people. So now for guests, it's, first it was, instead of pre-planning like they used to for fast passes, like 60 days in advance before your trip, now you have to like make sure you wake up at 7, that you could pre-buy it. Then you wake up at 7 a.m. to get your ride, like your first ride of the day. But now they changed it all over again. And so now you can buy it at 12:01 a.m. the day of your vacation. And then you have to wake up at 7 a.m. to book those rides, right? So, gosh, doesn't that sound nice?
It does.
It sounds like a great vacation.
Yeah.
Low
stress.
I really want to wait at 12:01 a.m. to make sure, because like what you said, based on availability, right, it puts that little keyword in there, so it makes people very eager. Because if you wake up at 6:30 or whatever on your vacation, and then you're like, okay, well, let's go buy it, and it's all sold out, like your days, you just spent like thousands of dollars on your trip.
Yep.
And now it's like based off of availability, and then even then it's like you may get 2 to 3 rides if you're on it, and so it's like a real shame what they're doing. Like they're really making vacationing stressful, even more stressful. And they're hurting travel agents too, because on top of this, now we were like, able to say like, oh, we got this. We'll get Disney Plus for you or Genie Plus for you. We'll add it to your ticket. No big deal. And then the day of comes and you can either travel agents like help you try to book it, and they take your password and whatever and then try to get it for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Or they kind of coach you on how to do it. But now it's like, why even use a travel agent at this point? Because they're making you do it.
Yeah.
They're making you go purchase it on the app. They're making you get the stuff at 7 a.m.
Here's
on
a
the
chore.
app. And it's just like adding more stress to your vacation that you really don't need, because you're already stressed enough. So I don't know. I feel like it's just a really bad move, and I hope that they change it soon, but I don't think they are. I think they're worried about like the summer crowd, and they just don't know how to handle it. And so they're just trying to take it away as fast as possible.
And having recently admitted themselves, Disney that is, that you're really only going to get the 2 to 3 attractions a day, so don't expect more. And so they're being just right out in front of it now because I think perhaps complaints have gone to a fever pitch, and so
I'm
now
sure
they're just
guest relations has been hit so hard on this, and they can't refund you, and I get it, like maybe people before with your travel agent, and you booked like a 5-day ticket, you have to book Disney or like the Genie Plus for the 5 days. You couldn't pick and choose and say like I want 4 days. If you bought a 5-day ticket, you had to pay for 5 days. And then this on this hand now they changed it. You have to buy it day of. You can pick and choose what day you want to do it. So if you want to try to do it 2 days, you could do it 2 days. So yeah, that's nice now. It's not like mandatory to buy like 5 days, but man, like it's just it's just so stressful. Like 12:01 a.m. to like think about it. Like at that point, I would be like, if you're on the East Coast, ask somebody on the West Coast to get it for you. It's 9 p.m. over there. They're just about to go to bed, and then you can at least sleep and know that they got it for you, and then wake up at 7. But man, how stressful.
Yeah, definitely, especially how it was laid out, was meant to give you like that maximum control over your vacation, and you can plan it well in advance and all these things. Like, you can really not have to worry about it, right, when you get there. Now we're flipping it again. So I understand the frustration and the disappointment, I think, in a lot of people's vacations and people's plans, because if you hadn't bought it yet, you're out of luck when it comes to that pre-planning phase. So now good luck day of.
Oh man, it's just hard. And like if you're with a big group, how like and something happens, like a mistake happens and you guys aren't linked, then you're kind of like all messed up for the day. Versus like if it was like the FastPass that we used to have and it was 60 days in advance, like like if you get yours at 12:05, I got mine at 12:10, it's fine. Right. It's not gonna be a big deal. But this is like huge deal.
And I know those guest experience teams out at Walt Disney World, you see them all in their blue shirts walking around with their tech devices. I do not envy anybody in those jobs.
But treat them nice because this isn't their fault.
Right, yeah. They're dealing with the decisions from the top as always. So, yes, please, respect goes a long way when you are in the Disney theme parks and you're seeing those name tags there. Treat them well. Many of us, we've all worked in those service positions. We've all worked in those roles where we've had to make people happy. And unfortunately, not everybody reacts appropriately. And we understand there's frustration out there, right? But boy, don't take it out on the wrong person. Make sure to communicate it upward and not necessarily at the person in front of you that's trying to help. All right, moving along here, the Disney Tourist blog says that a mainstay of Magic Kingdom since opening day on October 1st, 1971, Harmony Barber Shop is once again reopening its doors on July 31st of this year for the world's most magical haircut. Harmony Barber Shop will be bookable in the My Disney Experience app beginning June the 28th, and the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which has locations in Magic Kingdom, Disney Springs, and the Grand Floridian. You always want to say California when you say Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. The reopening of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique has been a top question for many families, and according to Disney, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique will begin reopening its doors for royal transformations later this year at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And Garrett, share with folks, if you will, what the reopening of these locations might mean, especially for families with kids.
Okay, so for those that do not know where these locations are, the barber shop is actually to the left of the Emporium as you're heading down Main Street at Magic Kingdom, and it's kind of hidden away. It's right next to sort of where the trolley car goes with the stables, so it's kind of hidden off, but it's very quaint.
It's easily missed, huh?
It is. Like when I first went there, I didn't know it existed until I finally became a cast member, and they're like, "Oh, we have a hair salon right there or a barber shop," and I'm like, "Oh, cool! Didn't know about that."
In Magic Kingdom.
And Magic Kingdom, yeah, it's sort of like the first haircut. It's sort of like I don't know. It's just like a moment where you're like, I am a true Disney fan now. I've gotten a haircut in a theme park at Disney. I am now one with the world. It's just a grand moment in your life. It's a rite of passage, so to speak. And then Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is actually located right inside of Cinderella Castle. As you walk across the drawbridge and then you see the beautiful mural of Cinderella, you'll then see Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and you go in there and you can pay a few magical dollars for your little ones to become a prince or princess, and they have different packages and all that. And it really is a magical experience. Like the kids go crazy for it. You see their dresses and all that. It can be quite substantial in price, but you can't put a price on magic. You can, but what these could mean coming back is that Disney is loosening more of its tightness around like health and safety, because when you're touching someone's hair and putting makeup on, all that stuff, that's very close proximity. So I think it's just more of Disney World getting back to sort of where it was before, a little bit more normal. And there's something special about getting pixie dusted and seeing the fairy godmothers in training. That's who all the lovely people are that work at Bibbidi Boutique. They're fairy godmothers in training. When you hit 1,000 years, that's when you become a fairy godmother and you find your own princess, so to speak.
Then you're legit.
Then you're legit. Up until then, no, you're just a Boy Scout. You're not an Eagle Scout just yet. But these coming back online just shows that the parks are coming more alive, and things are returning more to normal. Eventually, we'll get a train running again. But
never.
It's
probably
for me. It makes it. Yeah, for me, I just see this as the parks are becoming a place full of magic again, having these little small touches that actually help the entire picture come to life. It'd be like, oh, look at that beautiful painting, but it's missing some ink in the corner, and it just distracts from it. Because when you walk by and you see these princesses going out there, it's something magical, and I'm looking forward to it. I would get all dressed up like that if I could, but I'm an adult now. But you can go by and get asked to get pixie dusted, and they'll put pixie dust in your hair, and you can fly off to Neverland or wherever it is you want to go.
Wherever that is. Yeah. It's a place. Harmony Barber Shop has always been a spot where I've tried to like grow out my hair just to get a haircut there, to say, oh, I got a haircut in Magic Kingdom. How Disney adult of me, right? And I wanted to do that so many times. It is so hard to get a reservation there.
I've heard that.
It is.
It's only a few seats.
I think they have 4 or 5 chairs in there, and they do have reservations. Those will come online. Let me see. At the end of June. At the end of June, they'll come online. You can get those reservations, but they do have walk-in opportunities. However, it is sort of first come, first serve. So you walk in there and just be like, hey, can I get a haircut? No? All right, thank you very much. So yeah, reservations for both of them is highly recommended, especially Bibbidi Boutique. It used to be 180 days out. Now they're decreasing it to 60, which I think is a little more fair, because 180 days, that's half a year away. That's half a year away for you to possibly take that spot away from someone else, when you be like, oh, we're actually going to cancel it. You just possibly stole a spot from someone. So I think minimizing the time for reservations is, I think that's fair.
Sure.
But make your reservations. I highly recommend that, especially if you want to do Bibbidi Boutique for your little ones and save up like a good chunk of change.
And the boutique now having multiple, as we outlined, having multiple sites across Walt Disney World. I mean, that's also a testament to how popular it is, and just how the demand soars every time families are looking to turn their little pumpkins into a princess.
Oh.
I'm everyone's princess here.
Just like Garrett. Our little princess.
Yeah, back off, Katrina. I'm the
Whoa!
princess.
Oh, wow! Throwing down.
Hey, easy.
It's like one of those. That game from the '90s, Pretty Princess. You got to get the necklace and the crown. And,
I always got the crown.
Oh, well.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm gonna just roll with it because I'm the golden goose.
That's what the golden goose does. That's right.
They roll eggs too. Oh man, what a noise! I love it.
Yeah, we don't need sound effects on this show. Not when Garrett does them on his own.
I am the sound effect.
You are. You are a walking sound effect, you bet. And over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, changes coming to Fantasmic out on the East Coast. Disney has shared that the iconic Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios will make its much-anticipated return later in 2022 with a new show sequence featuring Disney characters. Mulan, Elsa, Aladdin, Pocahontas, and Moana in heroic moments, as well as new technical enhancements. Guests won't want to miss this spectacle, set on a canvas of water where the forces of good and evil battle it out in Mickey's dream. The extravagant open-air nighttime musical boasts more than 50 live performers, massive sets, stunning effects, rousing music, and dazzling pyrotechnics. Tyler, these changes are coming to a show that means an awful lot to people. Certainly the show out at Disneyland, I feel like both shows have always had a few hints of differences. Now, granted, Walt Disney World is in like a stadium, and they have a stage out on the water, and this is all designed specifically for Fantasmic, whereas Disneyland sort of transforms at night. It's out on the Pirates Lair Island, and you fill in New Orleans Square. So it's much more, I feel like at Disneyland, it's much more organic feeling, like this wasn't supposed to happen, but then it happens at night, sort of a feel.
For sure.
Whereas Fantasmic at Walt Disney World is like a ticketed event.
It's like a whole to-do, yeah.
Yeah, you plan it. It is your nighttime thing that you go to, out in the stadium and all of that. Yeah. But changes coming to the East Coast version of the show. What are we thinking? How are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, I got to be honest, I think everybody agrees. I've never met anybody that would disagree with this, but that whole Pocahontas section that they did kind of in replacement of the old Peter Pan section that they had in the Disneyland version, it was like the worst part of the show by far, and I think they're gonna like rip that whole thing out and just make it kind of like in the new updated Disneyland version. We have kind of a moment with like Aladdin and a couple of other characters that like kind of they swap between these different movies very quickly, and I'm assuming that's kind of the same thing they're gonna do here. It's too bad. I doubt there's going to be some massive pirate ship coming out doing, any cool stuff like the Peter Pan or the Pirates of the Caribbean segment, but I think they're going to just make up for it with the technology that they have these days. When they did the update in Disneyland, there was a lot of bump map projections, and I think they're going to do exactly the same thing for the Fantasmic over there. And if you think about it in a lot of ways, they kind of have a better set for that type of effect than we do in Disneyland, because it's like a big giant mountain and it's a giant flat surface basically. So I think they're going to do a lot of cool things with the projection mapping, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think that Pocahontas part was always slow. It always kind of put a damper on the show, and it was kind of awkward too. It was always kind of a weird, I don't know, I always felt like it was a weird addition.
It felt disjointed to me too.
Yeah.
And to replace something as iconic as Peter Pan, and don't get me wrong, Pocahontas' film has its own place, but it never felt like a well-oiled portion of the show. I completely agree.
Yeah, it was like, well, we don't want to build a giant pirate ship, but we want to have like an action sequence right here. So what kind of action sequence can we do? And I think Pocahontas was still, I think when they built that version of Fantasmic, Pocahontas was still like
a big deal.
And it was still kind of, the new highness and stuff. So I think this is going to be a great thing. I hope they get rid of some of in the Disney World version, there's a lot of parts where they just use that water screen to just like kind of show different villains like laughing maniacally and things like that. And I hope that they kind of cut some of that stuff out and just make it flow better. Because you don't need to just like, don't be like, oh, and we don't need 10 different villains attacking Mickey. Like, I feel like just choose a few, and like if they use kind of more special effects rather than the water screen stuff, I think it'll make the show much better. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, because I don't think anybody really has love for that Pocahontas sequence. So it should be great. I'm looking forward to it.
It'd be great to have it back in time for all the summer crowds. Certainly the mum is the word in terms of what the official relaunch date for Fantasmic will be. Lots of things changing though, even aerial footage and photos of sort of that stadium at Hollywood Studios. Lots of things changing, and looks like lots of things going on in there, a lot of activity in the last couple months. So they're clearly preparing. I just don't know when that will be, and hopefully, like I said, these summer crowds, they need a place to go.
Yeah, because there's not really anything to do at night over there.
Yeah, very little.
There's not really anything to do over there, period.
Whoa! These two, their disdain. Their disdain for Hollywood.
There's like Brown Derby, so I mean,
you can get a Cobb salad and then call it a day. No, I mean, go ahead, Gary.
Smugglers Run, day and night.
No, okay, cut him off. Cut him off.
There's technical difficulties with him.
No, he's frozen.
Oh, he's frozen. No. Oh, for all the listeners, he is completely frozen.
No, it's Smugglers Run. Yeah, like they could easily add some nighttime spectacular to Galaxy's Edge, but that's a conversation for another time. But there's opportunity. Yeah. But yeah, Fantasmic. That's the only thing you really have there.
See, no, you're right though. I mean, they should do more show type things in Galaxy's Edge. I mean, that's what I feel like those catwalks were built for, and they still are not utilizing them. It's kind of insane to me. It's insane to me, especially after the success of Avengers Campus, like, and them using their catwalks and people being like, they just see Loki. All Loki has to do is walk back and forth, and people lose their freaking mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah.
Just have random
Anyway,
people out
getting
there.
off the rails.
Hey,
but
no,
this,
he winked at me the other day, and I was like,
gosh.
that was at me.
You swooned.
That was at me.
the
Gang.
way he looks at me.
What's gonna happen if Moon Knight did that?
Well, you can't see
It
his
would
eyes.
be hard to
really.
tell
Yeah.
if he winked at me, I guess.
Maybe
he just covers an eye?
Yeah. And he was like, "You there?
You
and
there.
Then you're like, "Ooh."
This away. Yeah, I was filming something at Disneyland recently, and I didn't even realize Loki was walking by. It was one of those situations where I was looking at something completely different,
Of course.
and he comes walking by, and he looks straight into the lens and winked, and I was like, well, look at this guy.
Oh my god.
Huh? What a cheese mo.
Photogenic.
What a guy.
What a
What a
guy.
guy.
Hey,
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.